It's no secret, macro photography may be the most revealing genre of photography. It's all red roses, yet it's not filled with roses. These are things I got to find out after multiple years of practicing macro photography, which I'm about to share with you. 10 things I wish I knew about macro photography before getting into macro photography. I'm going to start off by saying that the real skill is in finding subjects. You could have the best gear, but if you don't know where to find subject and just how to find subject, you are going to really suck at macro photography. Macro photography is all about understanding a bug's behavior, where they hide, where they rest, how they move, and when they're mating, their on and off seasons, and all of that. And if you are able to nail this part of macro photography, trust me, that is 80% success, regardless of the gear you own or if you are just already good at it, because it's with these things that you'll be able to practice and also get those contest worthy shots. So yes, know where, how to find your subject. When I was just starting out in macro photography, I would go out anytime, take pictures anytime, and I wouldn't mind. Was I right for doing that? Well, I guess, because I mean it helped. But to be honest, I could have done better if I understood that time affects the result we get as well as temperature. The best time to go out for macro photography is early mornings or late at night, and not in the hot afternoon. The reason is, I've already said it, hot afternoon. The afternoon is hot, and aside it being uncomfortable for you, it's also uncomfortable for the bugs. So early mornings, yes, the bugs are less active by then, and there's dew all over the place, which slows them down as well as makes for a more appealing photo. And yeah, the lighting is great. And late at night, you find lots of interesting scenes like spiders with prey, and it's just so epic at night. But in the afternoon, most of these things lack. That's why morning or evening or night is best for, that's a housefly, I hate that, is best for macro wildlife photography. The next thing is that gear doesn't really matter in macro photography. Macro photography is one of the most accommodating genres of photography. You could do macro photography with just your phone and you could still get pro level results. You could do macro photography with just your phone and you could still get results that are hard to separate from that of an actual camera. Yes, seriously. And the fun part about macro photography is how simple it is. All you need is just your camera, and well, you could get an attachment, and this could be an external macro lens if you are using a phone, or an actual macro lens if you are using a camera, or maybe like a clip-on lens, stuff like the Renox or close-up filters. It's very, very basic. And the best part about macro photography is that a lot of people doing macro photography are using the same gear. Now, if they're not exactly using the same gear, they're using the exact kind of setup. When I mean the exact kind of setup, I mean, yes, they're all using a camera, and next thing, they're all using a macro lens. And then, if they add a flash and then a diffuser. Just, it's kind of that way. It's so straightforward in macro photography, unlike other genres of photography where things could be different, the way their setup comes together can differ a lot. So that is another thing I wish I knew about macro photography. And yeah, it's probably the best one. This next point is one I know many people are going to be scared of or maybe dislike. But the truth is, in macro photography, focus bracketing and focus stacking is essential. We all know why. The depth of field is so shallow in macro photography, and you're not going to use f22. And if you do, you're not going to, really get those sharp results. There are so many benefits to focus bracketing and focus stacking. And yes, I have to be honest, you don't need it 80 or 90% of the time, but that 10% of the time that you are going to definitely need it. So when you need it in those 10% of the time, what are you going to do? You have to be able to do it. So focus bracketing and focus stacking is actually essential in macro photography. It's a skill you just have to learn. You can't avoid it. So yeah, don't be like I'm an only single shots guy. No, it doesn't work in macro photography. You just have to learn. Even if it's like doing 3 to 5 shots, 5 to 10 shots, yes, it's very necessary. just learn focus bracketing and focus stacking. Good thing is it's very, very simple. Once you get the hang of it, you'll even be wanting to do it for every photo. So yeah, it's for your own good. Similar to the an only single shot guy, there's also the an only natural light guy. And I'll be honest, natural light for macro photography is insane. You can get really creative with it. But well, artificial light plus flash plus diffusion is, should I say, perfect? Well, it could be. I mean, yeah, you're not going to get natural light at night. Yes. And a lot of times in the morning, natural light is not going to be at its peak. It's not going to, shine bright enough or illuminate the part of your subject that you want. And a lot of times you'll be tempted to, open up your aperture and increase your ISO and maybe even drop your shutter speed. And for macro photography, where depth of field is very shallow, you don't need f2.8. You are barely going to get something in focus, unless it's just for like a creative kind of shot like the one on the screen right now. So you need to close up your aperture a little bit, and when you do that, you lose natural light. So natural light for macro photography is great, yet a bit flawed, or maybe seriously flawed, and that is why you need artificial light. And of course, it's done with a flash and it has to be diffused. In addition to this, there are several advantages that an artificial light plus diffusion has over natural light. And this could be a standalone video on its own. I don't know if I'll just cut this part and make it a video on its own. The first one is that if you're using natural light, it could be inconsistent. And a lot of times, it's not going to let you do things you should do. Okay, like right now, the sun is coming up and the exposure of this video is going to change. That's just an example of it. Now, if you're doing focus bracketing, yes, it means you're not going to get consistent lighting. That is one. Another thing is that artificial light is able to freeze moving insects, and natural light cannot do that. Artificial light will also let you close up your aperture, use your lowest ISO, and also use a constant shutter speed. Natural light, it's not going to let you do that. Furthermore, artificial light lets you intentionally light up your subject, be it from an angle you want or just the intensity you want. And a lot of times you're not going to get this with natural light. And one extra thing I can say is that with artificial light, you capture sharper macro images. It's just that way. During my first full year as a macro photographer and even my second year as a macro photographer, I struggled with one thing. It's that during the rainy seasons, because we only have 2 seasons over here in Nigeria, rainy and dry, I'd have lots of pictures to post. But as soon as the rainy season stopped, I'd run out of pictures to post in a little while. I did not understand that the seasons affect the results we get and how we can be able to get photos. And I still got during dry season trying to get pictures because I ran out of pictures and the pictures would be so boring. The kind of bugs we have by then, just dry grasshoppers and things like that. And the pictures would just not hit the way the rainy season pictures do. So unless you live in the tropics like Australia, Costa Rica, I don't even know if those are the tropics, to be honest. I'm bad at geography, but you get the idea. Unless if you live in places like that, know that macro photography is seasonal. Yes, it's seasonal. There are times that you are going to get lots of pictures even inside your room. Okay, that may be an exaggeration, but yeah, you get it. And there are times that you'll even get to the bush and you'll not find anything to photograph. So what are you supposed to do with this information? Yes, with this information, I want you to know that when you get lots of pictures, you don't have to post them all. Just schedule or kind of like know that, yeah, there's going to be dry month and this month I'm not going to have pictures. What am I going to post on the page? So keep some for the dry season or like winter and those times when you're not going to be able to find bugs to photograph, or maybe life gets in the way and you can't go out to photograph. So just keep photos, save photos, know that it's seasonal. You're not always going to find bugs, but of course they'll come back. So it's okay if you've made this mistake before, and it's also okay if you've already made this mistake like right now. Just know that, yeah, summer is going to come again and the bugs will be out again and you'll get lots of good pictures again. Macro photography is very cool, but if you're someone who's looking to get into photography to make money, then macro photography may not be the genre for you because it's not a business genre of photography. This doesn't mean you're not going to make money from macro photography ever. Of course you will. But it's not like portrait photography, event photography, all those business genres of photography. So this is a long talk on its own, and I think I could just make a video about this. Let me know what you think. Macro photography, money, they don't really go together. Just know that. So if you're buying gears for macro, hoping you are going to recover the money, oh boy, I'm sorry, you may just have to sell the gears again to recover the money. So that's just it for this one, and I think a full video, like a longer one, standalone video of it is going to come. So yeah, as a macro photographer, you are going to work in unpredictable situations with bugs that you can't predict their next move. So how do you deal with this? Truth is, patience and consistency is what will solve this problem for you. In macro photography, patience and consistency is probably more important than the gear itself, because you could have the best gear in the world, but if you're not going to wait for the shot, if you're not going to fight for the shot, you're not going to get a shot with that gear. So what does this mean? Try and be patient, try and be consistent, because that's just the only way you're going to get the good result. Second to the last one, when you get into macro photography, it's like signing up to become a naturalist. And I know many of you don't read the terms and conditions, and of course it's not like macro photography has terms and conditions, but it does. And one of it is that
You have agreed to become a naturalist. Agree, decline.
a lot of you agree to that. In fact, all of you agree to that, but you don't know. Yes, I never had idea about bugs and just how they behave, all of that, before getting into macro photography. But macro photography made me know lots of them. Like now, I could just name a bug, not just like the basic name, but scientific name, and I could tell you about its behavior and all of that. And funny enough, I never studied science, so yeah, it's something that has now become part of me. I'm now a naturalist because of macro photography, and it's a very good thing, to be honest. Having this knowledge, knowing how bugs behave, all of that, it's very, very good. So when you become a macro photographer, or if you are thinking of getting into macro photography, just know that this is one of the things that will come with it. You are going to become a naturalist, and it's one of the best parts about it. It's probably the coolest part about macro photography. The last thing I wish I knew about macro photography before getting into it is about the photography itself, and it's the fact that style differs. You don't have to have the same style as your mentor, the photographer you're looking up to, as everyone else, as your peer. It's okay to be different. You don't have to shoot at 4:1, 2:1, 1:1 if you don't want to. You don't have to photograph frogs if you don't want to.
Everyone should photograph a frog. I'm serious.
Okay, just kidding. But yeah, you get the point, right? And I also want you to know that it's not all about fancy species. It doesn't have to be exotic. You learn by shooting the basic stuff. Basic stuff like the mantis that you are going to find, the spider, the frogs, all of that. You shoot the basic stuff and make them look epic. Yeah. I mean, you could have the most epic subject in the world, but if you've not nailed the basics to know how to actually shoot that subject in a great way, it's still going to look basic or worse than basic. So shoot the basic stuff, make them look epic. That is what builds portfolio in macro photography. I'm David Joseph at ABCD David, macro wildlife photographer based in Nigeria, who always forgets to introduce himself at the start of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you aren't already, please do consider subscribing. And if you want to support me or the channel so I keep making videos like this, there's a buy me a coffee link in the description, and every coffee is appreciated. Bye.